The burden of cancer is not an easy one to bear, but sadly many Kenyan families have to carry that load alone. But there is an organization, it's actually an initiative called Runway Against Cancer that's seeking to assist caregivers and families in carrying that load. Let's live out loud with Amondi Buyu and Kanyi Ohawa from Runway Against Cancer next. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. I'm so glad you found this channel. Please click subscribe and hit notifications. You do that by clicking that bell on the side. Yeah, that one right there. Click it. Thanks a lot. And when you do, you never miss an episode when we upload. My name is Sheila Mwaniga and we are at the Waterfront Karen, East Africa's premier lifestyle and retail destination. Set up shop alongside local and international brands that call the Waterfront Karen home. The Waterfront Karen, you've arrived. And in this episode, we live out loud with the founder of Runway Against Cancer, Amondi Buyu, a woman whom I've known for very, very long. I'll tell you where we first met, and the artist in residence at Runway Against Cancer, Kanyi Ohawa. Madam, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, both of you, for making the time to be here. The reason why I am here is because you sent me an invitation one time and you said, Sheila, I actually got an invitation from a designer, Wangare Mathenge, and she said, Sheila, come to a fashion show, would you be interested? And I said, fine. And then my phone rings and it's Amondi. And Amondi's saying, you're not just going to come and watch the fashion show, you're going to come and host the fashion show. And I thought, but I want to be a guest.
No, I don't want you to be a guest.
I want to sit there and pow with people and look nice for photos. Meanwhile, it was one of the most beautiful nights of my life.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you for the work that you do. And so as we kick off this conversation, I'm going to start with you because I'd like to know where the idea was birthed. What is Runway Against Cancer? I was there, so I know. But for anybody who's tuning in now, walk us through that.
Runway Against Cancer was birthed in 2015. Somebody sent a young designer to me and said, her work is phenomenal. Work with her, show her work out there. And I thought I'd get 20 friends together to see what Nemo was doing. She had this fantastic jewelry. And I spoke to one of my nieces who said, but why don't we just make it a fashion show? Let's just have thousands of people seeing her work. And then somebody else said, why don't we use the fashion show to raise money for cancer? So that's how Runway Against Cancer was birthed.
And that was back in 2015.
Yes.
And it was all centered on design. It started with a designer with amazing work. Yeah. And I know you as a very artistic lady. And I know you've come a long way. Then again, haven't we all? From a stage in Phoenix Players Theatre with James Falkland, God rest his soul, we've all come a long way.
Yeah.
But I want to ask Kanyi about what it means to be an artist in residence at Runway Against Cancer.
So maybe first I can give you a little background, how I got involved.
Right.
One day I get a call from Amondi.
Oh, she does a lot of that, as I'm beginning to see.
And I can't believe I've not known Amondi all my life.
Yeah.
Because she called me and told me about this project they were doing and said this time they would like the children to get involved by doing some art. And she was told that I teach art. So she asked me, would you be interested? And I immediately said yes. My mouth was working faster than my brain was, because I think after I said yes, then I started backpedaling. I was like, wait, but working with sick kids, I don't know, will I be able to handle it? But my first reaction was yes. So that's how I got involved in the project. And the idea was that I teach the children how to create sellable art.
We're going to get to sellable art in just a moment because I've got a beautiful piece called Hope in my house and I look at it every single day. But Amondi, from 2015, you just had one artist that you showcased. or did you expand it to include more artists as well?
We sat down and decided that if we're going to have a fashion show, then why don't we then have 10 or so designers? Yeah, so we looked around for local designers working on designs with African art and basically vetted it to see who had a real plan to grow in fashion. Yeah, so then we vetted about 20 different designers and settled on 8. And that's who we showcased.
In that year alone?
Yes.
So you were able to raise some money?
We did. It was hard work.
Yeah.
We basically just broke even.
Right.
Yeah. We were all in it, hardly knowing what we were doing. We just had our hearts in the right places.
Okay. And when your heart's in the right place, a lot of things begin to fall in place.
Yes.
But it's still blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
There's nothing worth having that is ever going to be an easy walk in
Yeah.
the park. And I'm thinking, after that first cycle, there had to be a second. So what went into the makings of the second?
So one of my friends and clients said, Amondi, you never use money to make money. So that's what we decided not to try in the second one. The first one, we were paying for restaurants and dinners for the guests. So of course we didn't make money. So the second one, we thought, why don't we then do it in Kisumu, make it low-key, sell t-shirts as tickets, and we're not providing food for the clients, for the guests. And we did this for Jadudi, may his soul rest in peace. We did this for Jadudi, and basically the second one raised money.
I know the latest cycle, you raise funds with a very specific aim for the funding to go to a very specific group of caregivers. But Kanyi, I'd like to go back to the first one because, you know, when we think about cancer, it affects everybody. But this initiative decided to focus on kids. There's a society, Hope for Cancer Kids, that has benefited largely from a lot of your fundraising efforts over the years. What, went into the decision to say, when we're looking at cancer, let us help the children. Let us help the families that have children who are dealing with cancer. What caused that decision?
Okay, so I think last year when we had these discussions about what we wanted to do with Runway Against Cancer, when we decided that we would like to work with the children, we were recommending that we work with Hope for Cancer Kids. Now, Hope for Cancer Kids is already working with the children in most of the referral hospitals in Kenya. And what they do is they provide treatment cover through NHIF for the children, so they pay for their NHIF cover. Make sure that the families are enrolled in NHIF so they can get treatment. So we then approached them, and they came in for one of our meetings. And I remember thinking, it's the first time we met Bella. Bella is one who we were working with at Hope for Cancer Kids. And I remember the first meeting we had, Amondi used to host us at her place. And I remember thinking, what's this young looking girl going to achieve? You know, she just looked so young and delicate, until we started working with her. And she was this absolute powerhouse of getting things done. When we needed permissions from Kenyatta Hospital, she knew who to talk to, what to do to get things done. She was just an absolute powerhouse. So that's how we got involved with Hope for Cancer Children, Hope for Cancer Kids. And basically, as we go along, the project keeps morphing into something else. Because I think even when we started, we wanted to just do a fundraising for the children with cancer. And the more we got involved, we realized that the bigger problem is that the caregivers do not get any support. And a lot of the times you find that the caregivers, a lot of people who are coming for treatment in the referral hospitals are coming from far-flung places. They get to Nairobi, or they get to Kisumu, or they get to Eldoret. They have no support, they have no resources, they've got nowhere to stay. So we thought, why not then offer accommodation to caregivers of children with cancer? Because if you boost their hope, the chances of that child being presented for treatment and finishing their treatment is much higher.
And that was the premise for this year's fundraiser, because I was there, and this time round it wasn't just a fashion show. It was actually a very special fashion show, because some of the models who were on stage were people who battled cancer and have come through and are spreading awareness and are saying, hey, we can do this, but we can do this if we work together. Tell us a little bit about the auction this year.
What actually birthed the idea of working for the caregivers was Carol Mandy. She said, you know what, everybody who's raising money for cancer is raising money for treatments. What's the gap? What's different? And where can we put our money? So we thought, okay, caregivers, like she said. And we kept putting our brains together, brainstorming session after session. Every week we got to my office, starting from July last year. And in the brainstorming sessions, that's when we thought, you know, what's really special is let's make art. And if we make art, then let's auction the art. And if we can auction the art, then we are selling stuff that's made by the children. So basically the link is between the audience and the children. You have something that was made by a child who's in hospital. That was huge for everybody. It was an aha moment for everybody.
It really was, even for all of us who were there, myself included, because you look at these pieces and you imagine when you're not feeling well, when you even just have a cold and you're at home and you're restless, and then you imagine a young child, a little baby whose mom maybe has come from Samburu and she's got other kids at home, and so she can't stay with this little child for a very long time and she has to go back to take care of other children. What happens to this baby in the hospital for a full day? It's an incredible initiative. It truly is. And Kanyi, I go back to what you said at the beginning, when you thought about teaching children to paint and art, and you said, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. Tell us about that experience, being with the children